Welcome to the first edition of Sports and More with Michelle Garmon. Going to be talking about whatever Michelle wants to be talking about, whether it's sports or anything she'd like, mostly sports, but also some other stuff. And also we're going to say probably mostly Tipton County, but not all. We're going to probably say mostly high school stuff, but not all. We're going to be talking about everything.
Yeah, I always have some sports takes I like that don't always involve high school.
But we start with Tipton football and Aaron Tolle, his season preview, your interview with him for your season preview. And coming up tomorrow on Thursday, we're going to have our Frankton preview where I interviewed Aaron. So we're going to start there. And then we're going to be talking some Tipton, Tri-Central, Hamilton Heights, Frankton, Elwood, Alexandria, Madison Grant, whatever you want. Of course, IU women's basketball, IU football, anything that you want to talk about, that's what we're going to be talking about. That's what you're going to be talking about with your guests, and really looking forward to doing this. Michelle, quick intro on the season preview here with Aaron.
I talked to Aaron actually before the very first official practice. I just knew it was going to be easier to do that way, and I'm going to tell you with the way Mother Nature was last week, I'm so glad that I did that with him and then Elwood's flag football coach. I got that stuff done ahead of time. I knew I could do it with Aaron because even though he graduated some key players, he was also returning some key players. And so I knew he'd have a good idea. And they really beefed up their summer scrimmage schedule. They did like Delta, and they went places where they could do the big schools because the conference now is back down to 8 teams. So they're playing everybody in the conference, whereas they'd been divisional, 2 divisions the last few years. But since it's down to 8, which means they will be playing West Lafayette, they will be playing Twin Lakes, Logansport, plus they already were playing Heights in Western, and that's formidable. And so Aaron said for us to be competitive in those, and Twin Lakes is a 3A school, so they beefed up their summer schedule and did more, and Aaron was really pleased with the percentage of turnout of kids. And it's upbeat. I'm actually looking forward to seeing the Blue Devils on Friday against the Eagles. They didn't get a scrimmage, and neither did Frankton, but I'll be honest with you, Greg, I'm not a fan of the scrimmages. I just usually go to take photos. I remember when Ed wanted us to do stories on them, then I kind of had to do some stats, or if they scored, like a touchdown. But I've always thought that scrimmages are for the coaches and the players. Parents get a chance to watch their kids play. But as far as media, it's good for a few photos and maybe a comment of how the coaches thought the scrimmage went. But that's it, because everything's scripted. The coaches are on the actual field with them. They don't have just their 40 seconds between huddles. But anyway, so it's great. I thought it was a really good interview.
All right, here's Michelle's conversation with Tipton coach Aaron Tolle for his 23rd season as Tipton head coach.
Well, Aaron, let's first talk about the summer. How did your summer go with the kids and everything?
Probably one of the best summers we've ever had, to be honest. I think our attendance has been outstanding. We've been over 75% at just about everything we've done. We've had more competition this summer than ever before. In June, we went to compete at South Adams against South Adams, Fort Wayne, Concordia, and Huntington North. We went to Ball State's 7-on-7 camp. We went to team camp here in July with Castle High School, Garin, Perry Meridian, and Delta. And then we also competed at 11-on-11 at Eastbrook in July. So we had really 4 big competition days. So I really feel like we are probably way ahead of where we've been in the past.
Something for you, of course, I'm guessing that summer attendance and that kind of summer you've had has been big because Tipton is actually starting school earlier. So you're actually don't get those 2-a-days that you've been used to.
Yeah, they've been limited for a while now, but I think this is the first year we literally don't have any. So I mean, that's a big debate. I mean, I know what we're trying to do. I think we're doing the same amount of work. We're just spreading it out over June and July. There's also the kind of the old school philosophy that's kind of nice to know. as soon as August gets here, you have your team for 2 weeks, and it's everybody, coaching staff, players, everybody's ultra focused, but just different ways. So I think we've adapted to that, and I think we've had a really productive summer for sure.
Does that with school starting, and I know you go into that, as you week 2, usually middle to end of week 2's when 2-a-days and stuff, but not with them kind of being in school that first week, or I guess you
Thursday and Friday or
school,
yes.
and you as a teacher being there, does that that's going to be kind of something new too for a little bit of focus, because where you're used to, they can go cool off, they come in and looking forward to football. Now they're going to be a little bit, I should say more maybe mentally fatigued.
Maybe. I mean, we always kind of count on that first day of school that it's not going to be a good practice because kids just aren't used to getting up that early, and they aren't used to doing things all day long. But our kids will adapt, and it's that first week, so we have another full week before we scrimmage Peru, and then we have another full week before we would actually with our home opener. So our kids will adapt. We'll figure it out, and we'll get through it.
How's that changed practices from coaching standpoint and stuff? Are a little bit more because I know that a lot of times that you might have certain things you want to work on in the second practice.
My big thing is, I mean, obviously, we've been getting together 3 times a week all summer. The thing that everybody wants to worry about offense, and everybody wants to worry about defense, and the thing that gets put on the back burner is special teams. So that's always my big thing, that the first couple weeks in August, and especially like when we would have 2-a-days, there were times where we would have specific only special teams practices. So those things kind of get put on the back burner. So I think we're going to have to pay a little bit more attention to those in the one practice that we are allowed to have.
Schedule. It's a little different this year because now with the Hoosier Conference being back to like 8 teams, then now you're playing a full Hoosier Conference schedule.
Everybody. Schedule's changed a lot. So we've lost Elwood. From last year, we lost Rensselaer from last year. We lost Heritage from last year, and have picked up Manchester, Logansport, and West Lafayette. So yeah, schedule is very, very difficult. It's a big reason if you look and see who we've competed against this summer. That was kind of the intent, because I mean, we have, if we want to be successful, we have to get used to playing against teams with larger rosters from bigger schools, and we started doing that in the summertime, and it's going to be a very daunting conference as well as sectional. I mean, I know Twin Lakes is very, very good. Logansport beat them last year. I would say, just off the top of my head, those are probably the 2 best in our conference. And then sectional wise, I think Eastern's going to be good again. I think Oak Hill has some guys coming back, as well as Lewis Cass. And we'd like to throw ourselves in that conversation. So yeah, I think we can be pretty good. I think we're pretty talented, but we're going to have to earn it for sure.
I know losing Elwood for you because a rivalry hadn't been, but it's probably for you, it's actually probably a good deal, because when I was talking to their athletic director the other day, and I did a story in their paper about it, they're not sure they're even what their numbers are going to be for football right now. They're not sure they're going to have 20 kids, that they'll have a football season or be able to compete varsity every week. So at least that, but that being week 2, you will have a week 2.
We have a game. Yeah, it's kind of sad, because I mean, that's a very, as you know, that's a very historical rivalry. It's the one that I grew up on, and am just used to having them on our schedules. But in hindsight, we were able to find Manchester, which isn't too awful far away, to play week 2. So we are guaranteed a game, and honestly, it's kind of nice to, if you want to put a positive spin on things, it's kind of nice to go somewhere you've never been before. So to play at a different school, different stadium, those kind of things. So, but yeah, it is a little bit strange not having Elwood on the schedule.
So first day of practice is a week from today, because we're talking on the 27th. How's the team health-wise entering the season?
We're in pretty good shape, considering all that we've done this summer. We've got one broken hand right now that hopefully, is going to be healed sooner, maybe 3 weeks. So hopefully we have him back by week 1. But other than that, we're pretty darn healthy, and certainly want to keep it that way. I mean, I don't know, we have a roster of low 40s, somewhere between 42 and 45.
Well, but for a school Tipton sizes, enrollment numbers have kind of dropped the years. Those are good numbers.
Well, I mean, I get asked that all the time. Why don't we have as many kids playing football? And I'm like, because we don't have as many kids. When we were in school, or in the 80s and the 90s, I mean, Tipton High School was 650, 660 kids. And we had a roster of about 65. That's 10%. Well, now we're about 440, 450. And we have 43, 44 on our roster. That's about 10%. So I think percentage-wise, we have the same number of kids playing. We just don't, the pool's just not as big.
How much is that experience going to be beneficial to you next week when you start, especially with the loss of any two-a-day practices?
I think it's like any year, you always have to replace good seniors. I mean, it never is easy. I do feel like we've got some sophomores that are now juniors that got a lot of experience last year that hopefully can help fill in those voids. But we've got 13 or 14 starters back from last year. We have a very small senior class this year, but we have a very big junior class and a very big freshman class. So, we lose some vital parts each and every year, but I feel pretty comfortable, especially after the summer and seeing ourselves against other good programs that I think we're going to be able to fill those gaps and hopefully have a great fall.
Thank you so much for listening to the first edition of Sports and Beyond with Michelle Garmon. Michelle and I will be back on Thursday with a Tipton-Frankton Week 1 preview.
As you go into camp, where are the holes? What are the positions or areas that you're going to be looking at to find starters or even depth?
Honestly, I think we're probably ahead of we're offense is ahead of defense right now. When you've graduated 2 Hussies and a Condit and a Springer in the last 2 years, that hurts your linebacker depth. So all summer long, we've been got some moving parts. We're trying to mix and match and trying to find some guys, where they're going to play. So those are always that's a big hole we've got to fill. I think we're going to be able to do it, but it's taking some work and then some depth in the secondary. But I think we have some strong points on defense. I think our defensive ends are going to be outstanding. I think our safety play could be really, really good. Been pleasantly surprised by our corner play. I think it's probably ahead of where I thought it would be. We fill a couple gaps on defense. I think we can be extremely competitive against even against our schedule.
Of course, offense starts with your son, junior year quarterback, his 3rd straight year. Tell me the improvements you've seen in Quinn from a standpoint as a coach, and then even the standpoint of the maturity level you've seen in him as a father.
Well, that's one thing about Quinn is he's always been mature for his age. I'm extremely proud of him, but probably the thing that I'm most proud of was the way he handled being the starting quarterback as a freshman. I've been around this game for a long time, and you watch on film, he didn't act like a freshman. You wouldn't have said, "Oh, that kid's a freshman," just by watching him, the way he acted. So I'm super proud of that. And I think the thing is, he's been on the varsity for 2 years, but he's been around our program forever. So he knows, that's what makes it nice. He knows exactly what I want, when I want it. He knows exactly what Dustin wants offensively. He's done it for 2 years. And so when he can exude that confidence because he knows, he's not learning, he knows, and he can exude that confidence to the rest of the huddle, I think that goes a long way. He's had a good summer, and I think he's prepared himself both in the weight room and on the field to have a stellar junior year.
Well, he's kind of like one of those, because he's a 3-sport athlete. Right? Getting in the weight room time is probably the most difficult time for him.
That's the thing. Coach Newton and I, we've gotten it to the point where we want all of our varsity athletes to lift during the school day. For kids like Quinn or Jaron Aller or, those 2 and 3 sport athletes, they can't be there after school, or the kids that have a job after school, those kids were sliding through the cracks for a long time. I think we have a higher percentage of our kids lifting weights now than we ever have.
That's good.
And I think it's vital because, you start talking about the teams that we play. That's what they're doing across the board, boys and girls. And to our administrators' credit, they've bought into that and have put some emphasis on that. So I think we are definitely moving in the right direction as far as our weightlifting program for both our boys and girls athletes.
Of course, Quinn's he's not the only offensive player that really produced for you last year. You get Dakota Garmon is back at wide receiver.
Dakota had an all-state junior year, almost 1,000 yards receiving, and he's been lights out all summer. He's a big receiver that will go up and battle for the ball. He's gonna be a problem for defenses. And then when he demands a bunch of attention, then that helps everybody else, because the rest of our receiving core might be a little bit less experienced. I still think they're pretty talented, but they have less experience. But when he demands double coverage, which he's going to do sometimes, then that helps your first year starters out a little bit, and helps Jaron out. It helps Parker Capshaw out, or Zach Emberton or Wyatt Dunn. Those guys can get acclimated a little bit because he's demanding so much attention. Also helps the run game, because if they're double covering him, then they might have to take somebody out of the box to cover him. So it makes the rest of our offense better. But he's had a whale of a summer. Think he's going to have a great senior year. In my opinion, he's a North All-Star. I think he's that good. You got Zane Durham at running back. He was one of our 3 last year, but he's had a phenomenal year training wise in the off season. He's 6'2", 200 pounds, had a great track season, set a school record in the 4x1. I think the record was 30-some years old. So he's a big, strong kid, extremely coachable. I think he's going to have a really, really good fall. And then our offensive line, I think, Nathan Hawkins Nathan's been a mainstay for the last 3 years.
Does he take over Roach at left tackle?
We have moved him over to left tackle. We've gotten Mason Tice back, who was a move-in or moved back last year and was injured, so never took a snap. We've got Andrew Hawkins back, who's a returning starter, and then we've got a couple sophomores that we're really, really pleased with right now, and Owen Higginbotham and Brennan Reese. And then we've got 2 or 3 juniors that kind of sit behind them. Maybe their main focus is on defense, but they're fully capable of playing offense if and when need be. So we're seeing a lot of bright spots this summer.
Oh, I know you talked about Garmin. The nice thing is that when you put Emberton on the other side, now you've got really fast kids on
good speed.
If you ever put them on the same side of the field, watch out.
Really good speed. And Jaron is a big body that catches darn near everything. So he's a really good possession receiver. And, Parker and Wyatt are kind of playing the same position right now and are both fully capable of catching the football and making plays through the air. So I think we could be a really difficult offense to defend if we get things rolling.
You say you're going to be really good at defensive ends. So who you got playing at your defensive ends?
Nathan Hawkins and Joey Valtall.
Well, Valtall had a great year last year.
Yeah. And kind of changed our defense a little bit because of Joey Valtall. We're going to kind of cut him loose and see how he wants to be aggressive. We're going to see how aggressive he can be.
So I think he gave a few. I'm sure there were a few quarterbacks that were dreaming about him.
Yes, that's the plan. So, and then Nathan's opposite of him. So those are our 2 defensive ends. And again, I think they're going to give offensive linemen lots of problems.
Secondary. I know what your safeties are. Your Quinn and Dakota.
Also looking at Parker Capshaw there, as well as Lincoln Rodaball. And then a corner. Right now we've got Zach Emberton Lewan Tim Teeter, Ammon Vahikate, and Wyatt Dunn. So those are kind of the 8 kids that we're looking at. And again, they've gotten lots of reps this summer, so we got a pretty good idea of where we're at and what we're good at, what we need to work on. But think it could be a very productive secondary.
That linebacking core, who's got to try to step in to fill the Hussies and the Condon and the Springer shoes?
Well, I think Brock Turner is going to get first. He's going to get the first turn. He'll be a junior at inside linebacker. We've moved Zane Durham inside. Kind of changed our defense a little bit. So right now we're looking at Brock and Zane Durham inside, as well as Logan Lightfoot and Hunter Watson. And then we're looking at that double spot, which is kind of outside linebacker / safety. We've got multiple candidates there. That's really the position we got to figure out.
Will that kind of be determined by down situation, the teams you're facing?
It could. Run heavy team versus pass heavy team. Where's Quinn going to play? Is he at safety, or is he at the outside linebacker? He's kind of that guy that can play both of those. We're looking at Jaron Aller, Caden Cook, Lincoln Rodaball. All of those kids need to be able to play those 2 positions on our defense. So that's probably priority number 1 in August. Just kind of figuring out exactly where those kids are going to fit.
If you haven't yet, and why haven't you, please go check out the Central Indiana Sports Report, where we talk IU, Purdue, Pacers, Fever, Colts, and IndyCar, and a lot of other stuff too. And on Thursday, we'll have our Week 1 high school game previews.
Are you starting to get excited? Do you think the kids are starting to get excited for
the season? Mm-hmm. It's so much different now, Michelle. I mean, I can remember. I don't know who's I talking to. It was a team camp, but I can always remember, hey, August 1st is first official practice, and I can remember when I was in high school. It's 3 or 4 or 5 days out, and you're setting your clothes out and you're packing your bag because you can't wait to get. It's just so much different anymore. I mean, because to a lot of those guys, next week's just another. I mean, it doesn't feel all that much different than what we've been doing, which is kind of sad. I think because of all the things that we've done in the summer, I think they're going to be tired of practice and they're going to be ready to play some people for real. A lot of these things we go to in the summer, yeah, there's somebody different color, but you don't keep score. I think they're ready to start keeping score a little bit, wins and losses. So, but it's kind of sad that my dad asked me to this day, who's the biggest surprise? I'm like, there really aren't any surprises anymore because I said, I've been with them for 2 months already. You know what I mean? And it's kind of sad that it's changed that much because it did. It was, when you reported to camp or reported for 2 days, you knew it was game on. And now it's just I think our mentality's just changed.
Did you lose any kids, gain any kids from the new one time the transfer rule one?
We've had a couple kids move in from Tri-Central. I think they both actually live in Tipton, but we're going to Tri-Central, but they're coming to school here now. Don't know of any that we've lost, at least football players.
Well, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
I want to make sure you're out.
Yeah. So we've added a couple. I suppose that might be the biggest thing that could happen here, the week leading up to school. Could there be?
Yeah, because they have 5 days after school starts now to make that, which I don't get it. I think that you should have to have that decision made before the first day of practice.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we'll add a few more here. I mean, I know corporation-wide, we've had a pretty good number of kids that are wanting to go to school here, like elementary, middle school, and high school. I think there's an influx, but I don't know how many of those kids are high school kids. So, but we have added a couple, I know. So different times.
I've said this all along. You know your kids best, and I don't mind that you have school choice because you can't always. I know that was Suzanne when they would move with Abigail when they'd have to move to the military. She'd study for schools, and it was hard sometimes for them to find housing in the district that she knew was going to be best for best fit what Abigail needed. And I'm like, I get that if you can't find housing, I'm not I'm okay with school choice, especially when you center it like they centered it. Not just academics was more for. I've got to make sure they had, classes. Especially,
But I don't think that's the majority of reason that people transfer. It isn't for academics.
Although I will
they
say,
can say what they want, but I just don't think that it is. And
if they would just stick to their guns in the one time, I get it, because I said I also got tired of that. Just say of seeing some kids get approved and some kids not. That a kid that didn't get approved involved it had a much better reason than a kid who did.
Yeah,
the difference was the kid who didn't get approved wasn't the stud that this kid was.
It's like they've kind of removed themselves completely almost and to say, do what you want. I don't know. The word I always come back to is loyalty. And I think our kids have a lot of loyalty to our program, and that's why we haven't had any leave. But I know, when you look at it statewide, I mean, we're losing that word a little bit, and that's kind of scary to me, because it's not bad here, but I know you go into Marion County or the counties that surround Marion County. I mean, it's.
But when you think about it, how easy would it be for Monchon-Sells to gone over to Brownsburg to play with that quarterback and receiver? I mean, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it to an extent, but I hate when kids run from adversity, because I think that's
any kid that leaves a Tri-Central or an Elwood not knowing if you're going to have a football team and not
that's different.
Wait, that's different.
That's different.
You should be able to go, because if that's what you want and that's what you
Sure.
love, then you shouldn't have to or be a junior or senior and have to play a JV season because that's not
100%.
My only issues where I think it could hurt a smaller school is if you have, let's say that if you're a smaller school that doesn't have, because if you'd had somebody like a Mikey Crawford, or Derek Elson, we had car dealerships that would have kept him here. I mean, they would put him at PBA. But say you put somebody with that ability at a school, at a really small school that doesn't have any big towns or anything around it to do it, then does the next school, like say at Sheridan, does then Noblesville or Zionsville or Lebanon come knocking on the door and say, hey, come here, and it can't be the school, but it could be the owner of a dealership or the general manager of a business. Hey, thought about coming down here? We'll pay.
When you allow that to happen, they're going to find ways, and that's what's scary.
Thank you so much to Coach Tolle for joining us and for allowing me to record Tuesday's practice. Also, thanks so much to Michelle. Looking forward to working with her even more. Sports and Beyond with Michelle Garmon is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.